Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor Sanjana ma'am. Let's in this particular video discuss some important CR concepts that you need to learn in order to perform well in CLAT, AILIT and other law entrance examinations. What I've tried to do in this video is I've just broken down this into two parts. One will be CR concepts relevant to CLAT and AILIT and the other one would be about other law entrance examinations. Alright, now CR as we understand, or critical reasoning as we like to call it, is something which is central to reading comprehension, because sometimes in reading comprehension as well several CR concepts do get involved. At least this is the observation from CLAT perspective, right? And logical reasoning sections. In CLAT, CR is commonly referred to as logical reasoning as well, right? Now, what is the main focus, especially pertaining to CLAT and AILIT, is main idea, inference, assumption, right? Analyzing arguments is analyzing the central argument for the most part. Drawing inferences, assumptions, identifying flaws, strengthening and weakening. Now, what are the most important CR concepts that you should definitely practice, right, in totality, which is number one, identifying the main idea, because this also gets asked in logical reasoning section. So I think in order to tackle any CR topic, it's important that you understand what the passage is about, and that what the passage is talking about is referred to as the main idea, main argument, central thesis, right? So what is main idea? Idea that is what the author is primarily talking about, right? Spot the author's central argument or conclusion. Quite often main idea can be found by understanding the conclusion as well, right? And then understand the passage structure. Without understanding the passage structure, without breaking down the passage into pieces for you to understand, you won't be able to apply proper logical tools. Now, what is a passage structure? Any passage that you have will have a conclusion. It can be given in the beginning, in the end, in the middle. Now that's for you to spot it, right? And you only become smooth at it by doing a lot of reading intensive activities, right? So understand the passage structure, identify the conclusion, then identify the reasons, the evidences, the facts, or popularly called the premises that lead up to the conclusion, using which you arrive at the conclusion. Once you're able to do it, much of assumptions is also clearer to the student, right? Inference and assumptions, like I said. So let me tell you the technical definition of an assumption. An assumption is nothing but your unstated premise, right? The hidden premise. While an inference is nothing but your unstated conclusion, right? So once you understand the premise and the conclusion, you'll also be able to figure out the assumption and the inference quite easily, right? While an assumption is a statement that bridges the gap between the premise and the conclusion. There are technical definitions to everything. Obviously, you can get in touch with the mentors to take our sessions for CLAT and other law entrance examinations anytime. We will be making every concept crystal clear to the students, is what our assurance is, right? So understand main idea, premise, conclusion, inference and assumptions. They are the key CR concepts that you need to practice a lot of questions on, right? Vastly questions do come from these aspects only, right? Next thing is, what are further tools, some of the tools, some more CR concepts which you need to know about in order to be able to solve the main concepts properly. The first one is logical fallacies, right? The illogical arguments that we tend to make, the illogical arguments that are there in the passage, the flaws that are there in the passage, right? There are multiple heads under it. There is ad hominem fallacy, red herring fallacy, hasty generalization, slippery slope argument. What all of this is, if you want, I can do another video on it. Please let me know in the comment section, right? So learn to identify the flaws, spot errors in reasoning, right? And then strengthen and weaken is also important. Always, every time with CLAT in logical reasoning section, you will find at least one question on either strengthen or weaken, which is very important. It's a must do, so just make sure you practice ample questions on it. For the most part, let me tell you, students do fear this section a lot. Sometimes it becomes very difficult, especially between two very close options, right? For that also we do have some techniques to solve it, right? And then you have paradox resolution, which is reconciling the discrepancies, right? Two contradictory things happening together. How do you resolve it? How do you justify it happening, right? So paradox resolution is another very important topic to understand. Then you have analogies, which is nothing but parallel examples, parallel reasoning, right? Understanding and comparing logical relationships. Maybe a question or two might get asked on it. Paradox resolution is also equally important, right? And this is essentially what is most important for CLAT and ELIT. Now let's take a look at the CR concepts that get asked in other law entrance examination, right? Especially for SLAT, MHCT and LAT, right? So there CR is asked, but not in the form of big passages. It is asked in the form of one-liner questions, which is more interesting. But in that case, you need to practice a lot of questions. If they are one-liner questions, and if you're really targeting the other law entrance examinations, it's only fair that you solve about 200 to 250 questions on each of these one-liner topics, right? What are these one-liner topics? Let's take a look at them one by them. You have assumption, implicit statements. So one main statement is given, followed by two options, followed by a couple of options, four options, which says either statement 1 is implicit or statement 2 is implicit, both are implicit, or neither is implicit, right? Assumption, implicit statements, what is suggested about the statement. Then you have courses of action, which according to me is very interesting. You know, this is more related to decision making. So there's a situation which is given to you in the form of one statement only, and two logical approaches to taking care of the situation is also mentioned. Now you have to choose which one of these applies logically, which one of these you should be choosing. Both or neither is also fine, right? Then you have assertion reasoning, which if you have studied from CBSE board, you might have solved this as well in school. So assertion reasoning is also there. Just make sure that in order to, you know, master these topics, you need to practice a lot of questions. The more you practice, the better the hang you'll get of these questions. You'll be able to master the techniques effectively, because there is no set standard of solving this. I think the techniques vary from question to question depending on the context which is asked, right? Then you have facts, inferences, judgment and opinion. Again, very, very interesting, right? What is a fact? It is something which is verifiable, right? What is an opinion? It's your personal view about something that contains, let's just say, you know, keywords, adjectives. It's a judgment of sorts. What is an inference? Inference is when based on a fact you are analyzing something, you are able to deduce something, right? So you need to know the technicalities of these terms, and accordingly you need to label every sentence which is given to you under this question as either a fact, inference, judgment or opinion. So again, very interesting to solve. You know, CR, which is relevant to other exams, is more interesting than CLAT CR according to me, right? It's less time taking, and you know, it's really nice for brainstorming as well. And then something very important, this is also important for ALIT, which is syllogisms, which is when you have to represent premises in the form of Venn diagrams, right? All A are B, some A are B, questions of that sort. It gets heavily asked in ALIT and it gets asked in MHCT as well. So this is a very crucial topic to prepare. And syllogs, the you know, idea of solving syllogs is that you also need to practice it on a daily basis, you know, if you're really targeting to do well in this section. And then you have logical consistency or conditional statements or logical connective statements, right? This is another topic you need to practice questions on, and this in its entirety is what will comprise the CR course for other law entrance examinations. That is not to say that they will never ask you main idea question on an inference question. It's possible that there might be a very basic simple question asking you to infer something, you know, ascertain the main idea, central idea. So rest assured that will also be included, but not at a level which reflects the level of questions asked in CLAT and ALIT, right? So that's about it. I hope you've understood the entire CR syllabus that gets asked. Any insights are always welcome. You can connect with us through these platforms. Thank you so much. Have a great day.